Hello! Today I am coming to you with my 14 best ways to procrastinate writing a book. Way number 1 is to write some other book. It's my personal favourite way of procrastinating writing a book, is to just pick a different book that I want to write that for a while, and then when I want to procrastinate that, jump straight back onto that first project. And while it doesn't work for everyone to write 2 books at once, because it can be quite difficult, especially when you get into the final phases, or when you're in the very, very early drafting phases, it works really well for me. I think it's a great way of doing it, because it's still being very productive through your procrastination, which is really what we're aiming for here. Way number 2 is to write a short story. If you want to stay contained within the world of the book that you're trying to write, you can write a short story based in that world, like a backstory one, or a different character's perspective, or something that happens that the main character doesn't see but is relevant to the story. But what I tend to do is write a completely disconnected short story that I then post to nopoodles.wordpress.com, where I share stories every Thursday evening, except for the next 2 weeks because I'm doing my birthday to Hogmanay closed down for the next 2 weeks. This is pretty much the last day I'm going to be doing anything. Or posting anything that isn't pre-scheduled until New Year. Way number 3 to procrastinate writing your book is to write a scene from a different character's perspective. I know that sounds like a short story, but it's not necessarily, because it doesn't have to be as long or as self-contained as a short story does. And one of the great things about this is that it can either really build up your side characters or your villain or whoever, but it can also do other really useful things, like you could use it as marketing materials and sort of hand it out to people who are on your mailing list, or you could hand it out to people who buy a special edition copy, or you could, I don't know, send it to people that you want to send it to as part of your marketing efforts. Way number 4 to procrastinate, way number 4 to procrastinate writing a book is to read a book. Read somebody else's work. Get inspired by reading somebody else's fantasy, fiction is the word I'm looking for. Way number 5 is to read a craft book, a writing craft book. So like, I can't recommend any, but I also have upstairs in my office, a book on crafting tabletop role-playing game characters, which I find really helpful as a tabletop role player, to not just creating tabletop role-playing game characters, but also to creating protagonists and side characters, and trying to create characters that have these big, huge backstories. Like in Mary Arlan Breaking the Curse, there's this character called P.T., who is, like the letters P.T., who is the Guardian personal trainer, and he has like I'd say medium-sized role in the book. But he's supposed to be this expert fighter, right? And he's got to have this full, huge, long backstory. And I found it really helpful to go to this tabletop role-playing game book and go for these experienced adventurer section and build his character a little more deeply from there. And I found that really helpful. So you can read a writing craft book. Way number 6 to procrastinate writing your book, you could do a throwdown, what I call a throwdown. Other people call it other things, but I'm going to explain what it is, so you can call it whatever you want. You're welcome to call it a throwdown if you want. So a throwdown is basically where you throw down all of your ideas, whether in answer to a specific question like what happens next, or just generally like what happens in the novel. Like you can go as big or as small as you want. What is the backstory of this character? And you just throw all of your ideas down on paper or into your document, or whatever way you want to throw these down. Whatever way works best for you. I like paper personally, I've talked about it before. I am a big fan of writing on paper, but you don't have to use paper. You can use whatever works for you. Just throw it down there, even if it's a terrible idea that you're never going to use in a million years, just throw it down. Like, when I was struggling with the end of Mary Arlan Breaking the Curse, because endings are hard, when I was struggling with the end of Mary Arlan Breaking the Curse, one of the things I did was, what are the options from here? What could happen from here? And the first thing I write down every time I get stuck like that is, they could all die. Okay, what's next? Because I know for a fact that that's not going to be what happens. But putting that down straight away puts me in the right mindset of no idea is too ridiculous or absurd or anything like that to potentially be used. Way number 7 to procrastinate writing your book is to make a playlist for your book. So like, as I said in my Tools for Dyslexic Authors, I use Spotify to keep the nonsense part of my brain quiet while I'm writing, and I like to have playlists that are dedicated to different projects that get me in the mindset for them, which makes my Spotify Wrapped a very interesting listen because I go through it and there's stuff I'm listening to for like funsies and with my wife, and then there's the stuff I've put on a book playlist that's been played over and over again because there's only about 5 songs on there, so it's like. Way number 8 is to take your dog, child, self or whatever on a short walk or errand. Do you need milk? Just go and buy some. Do you need to go to the post office? Just head out. Not need to do anything, no errands to run. Just take yourself on a walk. Take your dog on a walk. Take your friend's dog on a walk. Take your cat on a walk if you feel like it. I've got a little harness for mine. Getting out of the house and doing something else can be really beneficial for your mental health in the first place. Like, obviously it doesn't always work, but sometimes just going out and breathing in the fresh air can be really, just can be really great. Or like having a change of scenery can be really great. And there is like a whole actual study into the power of green and nature on the human brain. So if you have a nice green space nearby or one that you can get to relatively quickly, I mean, go, enjoy nature, water your plants, I don't know, whatever it is you do. Way number 9, make yourself a drink. Hot drink, cold drink, it doesn't matter. But you're probably not hydrated enough. Maybe you should make yourself a drink. Take care of your physical health. Way number 10, talk it out. Alone, with a pet, with partner, friend, parent, sibling, whoever you have in your corner that you can talk to. Even if it's just yourself. Just talk it out. Talk out why you want to procrastinate, and is there a specific reason that you're having so much trouble with this that you just don't want to do it? Or is it just that you're tired, which is a completely legitimate reason, or is there some specific story point that you're stuck on, that you're struggling with, that you don't like, and therefore you don't want to keep going? We don't procrastinate for no reason. We always have a reason for procrastinating. Number 11. Read back over what you've already written and maybe edit it a little if you really feel like it. Be careful not to get sucked into the trap of constantly rereading and editing the beginning. Pick a random point. Pick the point just before the point you want to procrastinate, or start from the beginning and go all the way through, or whatever works for you. Just be wary of falling into that trap of never continuing and always editing. So we've all been there. It's not a fun place to be. But sometimes reading back over what you already have, or editing it to match up with your later plot point that you now know is going to happen that you maybe didn't know about when you first wrote that section, can be really helpful, because then you don't have that in the back of your mind. It's one of those things that's ticked off. It's something off your plate, and suddenly that procrastination urge dissipates a little. It's great. And also, if you're just reading back over it, if you don't tell yourself you're definitely going to edit, you're just going to read back over and see what happens, and then you sort of fall into editing, that can be really great, because you've sort of gone, oh, well, I'll just read it. That's easy. And you've kind of tricked yourself into working. No? Just me? Alright. Number 12. Create some art related to your project. So this can be any kind of art. You could be like a proper artist. You could be a skilled artist, a practiced artist, and make some nice stuff. You could be a terrible artist like me and draw some stick figures, or you could use a character creator online. That still counts as art. You could make a map of the world. You could do a mock-up of a cover, even if you know you're going to buy a cover later, or you're going to try and traditionally publish this project. Sometimes having a cover is just really nice, even if it's just for you. I have here, like, okay, so this might actually end up being my real cover, but I have here a proof copy of a book that I just mocked up a cover for. So the back is completely blank. The front has the title down here. It's definitely, I don't think it's just going to be as simple as this cover in the end. But mocking that cover up to be able to print it like that was really useful and really helpful. And like, even just when I just mocked up that cover, I felt this new surge of enjoyment in the project because I'd done something else that was related to it. Number 13. Create your characters in some kind of character creation device, like The Sims, or there are loads of free ones online. I used the League of Legends character creator recently. Again, not Spawn, not affiliated in any way. It was just one that somebody else shared and went, this is where I created these character images, and I went, ooh, let me look at that. And it was free to use, so And I really enjoyed that. It's a limited thing, like there's not loads and loads you can do with it, but it is nice to be able to create characters that don't all have to look human, because that is obviously a problem with The Sims, is that, you know, dependent on what expansion packs you have, most of the time they all end up looking human. And sometimes that's not what you're going for. Like Mary Arlan Breaking the Curse, a lot of them don't look human. In my sci-fi novel, even less of them look human. Yeah, it's a risk with something like this, the character creators, that you won't be able to get exactly what you're going for. But sometimes it's really great, because again, then you have this picture to be able to kind of describe when you're trying to describe the characters. You could also just use a like a modelling website or something like that to find like a face match or face cast, I can't remember what it's called, but basically someone who has the appearance of a character, of one of your characters, which is also good but not quite as fun, I think, for me, as actually creating them myself. And number 14, prep dinner for later. You've got to eat at some point, so you might as well pre-prep dinner. And again, it's another one of these moments. I've talked about it before, I think, when I talk about writer's block. Might have been on nopoodles.wordpress.com, I can't remember. But basically, it's a thing. Like, sometimes you get creative blocks, and that's okay. And sometimes the best thing to do is to do something that doesn't take a lot of concentration, or something that is completely separate from your work, as long as you're not doing it all of the time. And I think that's why I wanted to make this list of ways to procrastinate, because sometimes when you do have some kind of creative block, the best thing you can do is procrastinate via one of these methods, because it either leaves you in the universe and of your novel, and therefore your brain's still taking over it, or it completely separates you from everything, including your workspace, and therefore it can percolate in the back of your mind, but you're not feeling that immense pressure to get it done. It's really hard to work with writer's block. It's really hard to work with the desire to procrastinate your project, especially if it's something that you are normally really excited for. And it can bring with it a lot of like negative emotions. I don't want to call them negative emotions. It can bring with it a lot of like sadness and guilt and things like that. And that's really hard to deal with. And while I wouldn't advise procrastinating long term if you want to get your book written, and while I wouldn't advise taking a break every time you get writer's block, sometimes you do just have to push through. It's about finding out what works for you, and finding out when you should just push through and when you should take a break. It's always super useful to try and figure out why you're trying to procrastinate, because it allows you to address if there is a real problem, or if it's just that you're not really feeling it. Because sometimes that thing of not really feeling it can translate into, I'm really worried about something else, I'm really tired, or this story isn't going the way I wanted it to and I'm not having fun anymore. Drop it. No, in all seriousness, if you're not having fun anymore while writing a book, you want to change that up. You want to fix it so that you have fun again, because there's no point trying to write a book if you're not having fun writing the book. I'm sorry, that is just my opinion as a person who has published a book. So, yeah. And of course, using your procrastination time to do something useful and productive and book related is always a really great bet, because it gives you that procrastination feeling without actually procrastinating too badly, so you're not actually making any progress. And if you're thinking, well, why should I trust you about 14 ways to procrastinate writing a book? Isn't procrastinating writing a book just going to make it so that there's not a book out in the end? I have this bad boy! Mary Arlan Breaking the Curse is an adult fantasy novel that released on the 26th of October 2021. It has action-adventure, it has heapings of magic, it has a delightful, slow-burn, heartwarming romance that's not like the main thing, but it is like a plot. The premise is that Mary wants to be a guardian. There's just a few things standing in her way: her gender, her secret heritage, her penchant for questioning authority. And basically, yeah, we follow Mary. She's pretty great. If you want to see more stuff from the universe of Mary Arlan Breaking the Curse, you can check out the free short story I've got on nopoodles.wordpress.com, which is The Tale of the Moon Prince. Chapter 1 is also there and read aloud here on YouTube, but if you want chapter 1 to 3, you can sign up to my mailing list, which the link for is in the description. to get the first 3 chapters for free, and also a separate newsletter exclusive short story. And if you were thinking, oh, didn't you mention in your chapter 1 video that you were doing a giveaway of the book? Yes, but unfortunately that is closed now, so you missed your chance. I'm very sorry. But you can buy your own signed copy of the book via my Gumroad store, which is also currently on hiatus because I'm doing a birthday to Hogmanay shutdown, which takes effect as of tomorrow morning. So, like, if you don't get your orders in tonight, it's not happening. You're not going to get it until January. You will still get it, you'll still be able to pay for it, but it won't be sent out until January now. And yeah, all the links for where to find me, like my Instagram, my website, my short story website, my mailing list, and so on, and all of the places that I know that you can find Mary Arlan Breaking the Curse are linked in the description box below. If you want to wait until you've got your Nopoodles' birthday money, or Christmas money, or whatever it is, you absolutely can. There is a link to its profile on Goodreads and the Storygraph down there, so you can add it to your like desired TBR, I want to read this book list thing on either of those, and go from there. Whatever you want. It's very exciting. And yeah, there is also a link to my Ko-fi account down there, just next to the like and subscribe buttons if you feel like sticking around, because, you know, we have fun here. Theoretically, unless I got a fuck ton of bloops, you should be getting some recommended videos. If there are no recommended videos right now, there's bloops incoming. I hope you have a great My Birthday to Hogmanay shutdown holiday, whatever it is. I hope everybody in your circle of loved ones is doing really well, and I hope it doesn't come across too Christmassy that I am doing this shutdown, because it is legitimately my birthday to Hogmanay, which is Scottish for New Year, if you didn't know. Bye.